Welcome to the Little Brain Campaign. I'm Dr. Lauren LaRose, a child and adolescent psychiatrist.
And I'm Jessica Eisenstadt, a licensed professional counselor.
We're here to be straight with you about children's mental health.
And we're not afraid to challenge the trends that are out there about anything related to kids.
And we're not afraid to challenge each other either.
If you're looking to be validated from two moms that are in the trenches, you're in the right spot.
Yep, no fluff here. Just some honest conversation with a side of sarcasm.
Let's get into it.
Hey, Lauren. Hi, Jessica.
How are you?
Fabulous. And yourself?
I'm struggling.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay, what is bugging the shit out of you this week?
I perpetually feel aggravated with pharmacies, chain pharmacies, and insurance companies. Chain pharmacies, I fucking hate with a passion.
Like a Walgreens
and a CVS.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't ever talk to a human.
Yeah.
There's no human there. Or if they're too busy. They can't talk on the phone. And the fucking automated, you've listened to me on speakerphone, and it's so aggravating. It's like they give you 14 options and you have to wait until the last one to press the button, because if you say something before they finish, then I'm sorry, we did not understand that answer.
But
and
you're also calling from a prescriber.
Yeah, and this is on the prescriber line. Yeah, that's like supposed to be like fast and like. No, it's not ever. It's aggravating as shit. People don't realize. I think people don't realize. Like, I was like, "What? Can you call my pharmacy?" And I'm like, "No. It will take me 20 minutes to get to the answer of the problem." And then usually the pharmacy's like, "Oh, we did have that prescription on file. Sorry, we didn't see it." Or, "Oh, nope, they can fill it. I'm not sure why someone said they can't fill that prescription." It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So aggravating. Annoying. I hate pharmacies. I love local pharmacies. Love them.
Yeah, like
love them. Mom and pops. Love them.
Why do you need to call the pharmacies though?
Like if I have a patient who, they get like this automated like text response from their pharmacy, like it always says, this really pisses me off the most. It says, your prescriber has denied your prescription.
Oh, that's right.
And they're like, why did you deny my prescription? I'm like, I didn't deny anything. I don't even know what they're talking about.
Why would they say that? Why would they say that?
That's their automated response. Your prescriber has denied your prescription.
But that's not the truth.
It's not.
So what is the
truth?
It's
false. Either they sent me a fax over the weekend.
Oh, that's
which
right.
I didn't see. And so I did not refill it because I'm sorry, I'm not always checking faxes on the weekend. Or their insurance denied it.
Yeah.
But they're saying I denied it.
God, really? No one likes to take any accountability.
No. And like the problem is people forget, like I have over 350 patients. So it's like, this isn't just like one person a day. It's like 20 people a day. Yeah. It's fucking aggravating. Anyway,
hey, everybody. Okay. Today we have my BFF, Charlie DePietro. He is a principal at a local school in town. Give a little elevator pitch, babe.
Yeah. I'm Charlie DePietro. I have worked in education since 2010, here in New Orleans since 2012. I've worn a bunch of different hats as teacher, team leader, director on a campus, served at a network level for a little while, and now I'm a principal at an open enrollment pre-K through 8 charter school.
Pre-K through 8. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of like fact stuff, and I want to relate it to your experience and your school, network, whatever. Okay, so here are some, is an acronym? Acronym's the right word, right? Okay, acronym. LEA, Louisiana Education Agency. LDE, Louisiana Department of Education. BESE, BESE, Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. SPP, State Performance Plan, first bad.
I'm already confused.
IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And PBIS, Positive Behavior Interventions and Supports within charter public school systems. So this No Child Left Behind, which launched in 2002, it's like a federal mandate that requires all schools to test students annually in reading and math in 3rd through 8th grade, and then once in high school. And this, in 2010, and correct me if I'm wrong, Common Core state standards, that initiative, that idea, that we, like the reason why that started was somebody or a group of people thought that America was being outpaced by other nations. And so they like produced these Common Core state standards to measure levels of academic achievement so that they could, I guess, like better prepare students or whatever so that they can optically be where they think or where they want them to be as it relates to France or whoever it is. Okay, so Common Core, standard driven, science and social studies, back burner, ELA and math, front burner, most important, and that like the way math is being taught, I know like math is your love language, is it's new, it's reinventing the ways to solve problems, which I mean, like I'm in the dark with old math. Like I've cheated my way through senior year. So I don't even know what I'm going to do when my kids come home and I have to learn fucking new math. Anyway, so we're in the dark as it relates to new math. And I mean, I think it creates undue stress on schools on a macro level and a micro level. I mean, teachers, students, parents, this whole new way of learning math. Like what is the reason behind that, number one? And then the standards were rolled out with no lesson plans or textbooks or widespread teacher training programs. So it's like, I mean, I know now they're like box curriculums, but like at the time, it was just like, do this, I'll figure it out. Like there just weren't stuff. And then you have SPS, school performance scores, which are, so here this would be LEAP is how they measure that.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that go into SPS. So it's
great,
like raw performance on
Yep.
LEAP, growth from LEAP test year to year,
Mm-hmm.
dropout credit accumulation index. So like how on track are students when they go from middle school to high school to graduate on time.
Yep.
And then interest and opportunities. So what are the enrichment opportunities provided on a campus?
And you said attendance?
I don't think attendance goes into our SPS.
Oh, no, it says it does.
Sure.
Surprise. I don't know, but like also they're like anyways. So it's a composite score based on test scores, LEAP, attendance, dropout rates, and everything else you said. There's also a district performance score. So that would be like what district? Orleans? Is that like parish?
Yeah, Orleans Parish.
Okay.
We use something called SPRI, which uses the same metrics but values growth over time a little bit more than just raw performance.
Yeah. And so then from that, we have growth labels assigned to schools. So there's school in decline, no growth, minimal academic growth, recognized academic growth, and then exemplary academic growth. And to promote attainment of growth, and that's it, like if you get recognized academic growth or exemplary academic growth, if you hit those targets, then you get cash rewards.
You do?
Nothing I say. I mean, like
well,
from, I guess, state funding.
If you say so.
As opposed to funding the schools that are struggling.
I guess.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, you know?
I mean, I don't know. Okay,
Just
so
saying.
So I just wanted to give like a little background about, and this is, I mean, like Common Core's national. Like this is a national set of standards. Go ahead.
I like Common Core.
I
I
know.
know.
I'll
throw it out there.
I know.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah,
wait,
why?
hold on. Because I don't want to get too. Okay. The standards now, as it compares to like, let's say 2000, as it like when, like state kindergarten, are the standards drastically different today as compared to like 2000?
From my perspective, the standards are not drastically different. There was like some reshuffling of some of the standards by grade level. So math, like you said, is my jam. So there's some consolidation among standards to make it a little easier to teach one concept in third grade than to be able to think about what's the stepping stone for fourth grade, what's the stepping stone for fifth grade, so that it all makes a little bit more sense. Because in some states, because remember it depended on the state, you could have fractions show up in second grade, then they don't show up again until sixth grade, then they build maybe from seventh and eighth grade. So there's a way that it helps. There's like 3 big shifts in math. They talk about focus, coherence, and rigor. And that's like the goal of having the Common Core state standards. So that made a lot of sense. But in kindergarten, for example, you're still counting. Like you're learning those foundational number concepts. In upper grades, you're moving into algebra. You're moving into like ratios and proportions, percentages, things that you kind of always did in those grades in math. I taught in 2 different states. So I've taught in Mississippi and in Louisiana. And Common Core standards are better than the standards they used to have in upper grades, I think. And it also means that like if you work with a transient population and they're in 5th grade in one state and then they move to another state, they're going to be learning the same stuff as opposed to in a past time. If I came from New York and I moved to Mississippi, moved to New Orleans, wherever, you could be doing completely different stuff. And you could say, I have a huge gap that I don't know how to fill for my students. So there's some advantages.
Okay. I agree with that. I do like that consistency and predictability. Okay. Why do you besides that, why are you pro Common Core?
I think they focus on the important things. So like imagine you could have 100 standards for 3rd grade ELA. And the Common Core says we really want to have 12 important reading standards. Half of that, like 12 for reading literature, 12 for reading informational texts. They're the same 12 and they build from year to year. So you're always doing something that's text dependent. You're always doing something about citing and elaborating evidence. And you're doing the things that I agree with the people who made the standards are the most important things that good readers need to be able to do. So it's never just like this random grammar standard. It's never just this like all 3rd graders across the country have to read Huckleberry Finn. Like it's not nonsensical in that way. They're good, developmentally appropriate. What's the word I'm looking for? Like progressively more challenging, but aligned in that way. So like in one grade, you identify evidence. In another grade, you elaborate on evidence. In another grade, you cite the evidence and elaborate. So there's a nice progression of standards there.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I guess the part that aggravates me is there's no like freedom for teachers to teach, and like the standards are fine. Like I don't hate a standard. I think it like what's it called? Like it keeps your focus and goal oriented.
I also think it promotes equity because it means that you
go ahead.
You're accountable to the same standard across every
no matter
public
where you
school.
are. Yeah.
No matter where you are. So that helps because it means that my brand new teacher who just learned how to become a teacher and my 30-year veteran are not so far off from what the end goal is for students is how I see it. They're guided by the standards no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh, but go ahead. No freedom to express.
Like teachers have to teach a certain way, like in these box curriculums. And so let's say it's just like not a natural like way that this teacher teaches, or it's not effective because the personality type of this teacher doesn't align with whatever the box curriculum is saying. And then it influences teacher morale, which then influences student morale, which then influences like
student
whole school. And all of that stuff. So how do you address that?
Yeah, great question. You do have any thoughts?
I mean, do you get a lot of pushback about that though? About I want to teach in the way like, okay, one more thing. So it's like a push pull because I was at a parochial school, and like there are pros and cons to all of it. I mean, I do get horny for like it's consistent and predictable across, So like a kid in class
It's hard to argue with that.
Okay, well, I know. So, okay,
but here she goes.
No. But okay. So I think there's something to be said about having consistent and predictable behavioral expectations across classrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time, the teacher can present material and teach material in their like independent way, as long as the behavioral expectations are the same. And so in charter schools, or at least the ones that I've been in and worked in, behavioral expectations, I mean, it's across schools. Like it's the value system is across the network. It's if I go to school A and talk to a teacher in this tone at this volume with these words, I know that if I go to school B within that network, it's going to be the same thing. And so that allows kids the ability to take like the guessing work out of it and at least more room in their brains to academically achieve, because that's the goal, and socially interact in an appropriate way. So when a teacher has to teach in a certain way and it's just not working, or some behavioral aspect is popping up.
Yeah. I mean, this stuff happens. So my first response is always, people who created this curriculum are really smart and they did all the legwork to backwards plan. They know the standards, they know the Common Core shifts. They understand how to make a curriculum that meets the needs and the demands of the standards. So we're going to lean into the fact that they know what they're doing. We chose our tier 1 curriculum. We wanted those, we made the choices based on like richness of text in ELA, at bats in math, like good times
What's
to struggle.
Tell
like
the
at bats,
no one
like,
know what's bat.
like you get good practice. So you're able to take lots of independent practice. Yeah, you have an at bat and you're able to attempt to do the work on your own.
Okay.
And so that's what I always lead with is like someone smarter than me came up with this. And it's usually a group of teachers, former teachers, and people who helped work on the standards who are doing this together. From there, it's about giving teachers the tools to be able to internalize a curriculum and find places where they can make it their own, or where we have to say, nah, you got to do it this way because this is how it's going to get kids from point A to point B. So like the analogy I use is every doctor can use a scalpel, right? That's the tool that they use. The best doctors can use the scalpel better than the worst doctors. And that's because they have the training, they have the practice, they're able to use that tool.
So like a surgeon versus
whatever it is, like whatever example, 2 surgeons could have
or the best
different
surgeon
skills.
versus the not best surgeon.
And I think that's kind of like the curriculum is the tool. It is not the end all be all. And it's about the teacher who's delivering that. And so if you're miserable using the scalpel every time as a doctor, you probably don't work in that field. You do something else.
Yeah.
And so there's a way that I feel that way. But also, if it's our best teachers who have the classroom management in place, who understand the standards, and they want to say, you know, this social studies lesson talks about, the New England colonies, but I'd really prefer to do mid-Atlantic colonies for this day. And I know that they have the skills, they have the management. I'm going to say, great, when are you going to do the New England? Like, let's talk about it so you can do what you want and you can still meet the demands of the standard. Now, I also think there are going to be some teachers who are like, I'm trying to not buddy the book. And it's like, we can't not teach that book if it's part of our curriculum and it's 3 months long of curriculum. How can we find a way for you to teach it in a style that meets your needs?
But why do you need to do a certain book?
Because all of the curriculum is aligned to that book. So like all of the line of questioning, evidence building, all of the handouts, that sort of stuff.
Do you think that, and I don't know the answer to this, is why I'm asking you, but do you think the, I don't want to say the lack of flexibility, but the less flexibility that's in that, does that like leave any kids behind?
I don't know if that's why they're being left behind, but there are certainly kids that feel left behind, or there's big gaps in learning that happen, unfinished learning that they come from previous grades with. I think there's like a need for developing high interest activities for kids, and sometimes teachers can struggle to mold it in if they are not all the way bought in on something.
Okay, wait, explain that more. What do you mean high interest activities?
So like if I want to hook, if I want to like do something culturally responsive for you as the student in front of my classroom, and if we're using a curriculum that's Common Core aligned, it could fit everyone's needs, but it's like, I don't know, in science, we're studying a phenomenon. And if we're talking about tornadoes and that's not like relevant for kids in my classroom, maybe then I talk to my coach. Every teacher at my school has a coach, and I say, hey, I don't want to do tornadoes. Can we do hurricanes? Because I think that's a connection that kids will understand in my room.
Right.
Great, let's do that. But then I don't know. That's a good question about the core texts that they read in ELA, if it's leaving some kids behind. I don't know.
Well, and I guess just like kids, like it's a very, since it is so standardized.
Yeah.
Right. Some kids' brains don't work like that.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I look at the math, because my kids are starting to get into those ages where they're doing this math, I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. My oldest is in second.
Okay.
I think I veered away from math as a kid, because I would like do the problem one way in my head, and then the teacher was like, no, that's not how you do it. And I'm like, well, that's how I'm doing it.
And I'm getting the same answer.
And I'm getting the same answer, so I don't understand,
I think we place a dual importance on process and result in math classes, and that's important. And so an example is like, we're going to learn 10 different ways to add in second grade. And I'm saying a number, 5, 3, 5,
How many
7.
How many are there?
A lot. There's a lot of different ways that you can add. But what the goal is to get students to understand the concept of addition and then to be able to develop into being able to add fluently, which it sounds like you're saying you could do it in your head. You were fluent with the math. And so they may have some lessons where they say like, we want to see the process, but by the end of the curriculum, it's how do you get from the problem to the answer? Because going back to a state test, the state test doesn't always care about the process. It cares about a multiple choice answer. Yeah. But also the SAT cares about a multiple choice answer. I don't know. The whole system is set up that way to get you to one final answer eventually. So if we're going to support kids in a system that ultimately does that, do we ultimately have to be able to do that? Probably. But yeah.
Do you think
I hope you like some of the new math.
It's just confusing. It's really confusing because it's like it looks like a foreign language. You're like, what is this?
And it's like, God, you have to draw those fucking circles.
Yeah, it's a lot of circles. Lots of circles and lines and things.
That's
Do you feel like the staff at your children's school does a good job of teaching you about?
Yes. I mean, they send home like packets that explain it. Do I sit and read the packets? Not really. I should probably do that. Because then it's like homework for me, to read the packet and understand it. Okay. A different question. Do you think that all this like standard, maybe not the Common Core, but more like the LEAP, okay? Like those like tests that evaluate performance at the end of the year. Do you think that those are an accurate representation of kids learning?
No.
So why the fuck do we do it?
You have to have something.
You need a benchmark. Know, you need to be able to say there's some standard, some comparison. But listen, the state has heard a lot of this. And so they've added some accountability for lower grades. So in, I think it's kindergarten through second grade, they're doing like a reading component that will eventually go into SPS. They're collecting data these first couple of years. And they want to see like how are younger kids
absorbing,
learning phonics and able to read, and do they have the code for reading? And the cool thing about that is that it is a test. It's a one-on-one test, but it's based on the science of reading, and it's based on best practices for getting kids to read. It's not just a standardized test of multiple choice questions. So there's a shift where it's like, how can we not just think about one long ass week of testing, and how can we think about kids
evaluating it in a different way?
Getting the code to be able to read, because if every kid left second grade with the code to read, would third through eighth grade reading assessments be as hard? Would they matter as much? I don't know what the answer is. Like, we're not in a state where we have high passing rates. We're not in a city that has extremely high passing rates. But if we could address things earlier, could we be at a place where I grew up in New York? We took a standardized test in fourth grade and in eighth grade, and then you took one for each class in high school. And I never remember like a pep rally to get ready for testing. It was like, oh, we just have to take a test. And we just took the test. And that is about like the whole communities and the state and everyone's investment in education. Or like, how do we get Louisiana there? How do we get southern states there? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know.
That was such a weird noise.
So weird.
No, you're thinking like you worked in a school, the stress around it.
I mean, like you don't get funding unless you grow.
You don't say open unless you make a grade, and that's like New Orleans public schools.
Yeah, and like it doesn't really matter. I don't know. It's just like your opinion. Like anybody who works in a school, like your opinion. It's like, I agree. And we can't because we got to, reach a standard, because if we don't, then we're all out of jobs. It's just like the finances of it all is really like what's it called? The, like puppet master.
Yeah.
No.
Finances. Yes. I don't know. It's like a necessary evil. There are so many other jobs. If you didn't do your job and you worked in finance, what would happen?
Fired. But you can't because there are no teachers.
No. Where like if you don't do your job as a financial firm, what happens to that financial firm? It closes, and your customers just bring their money elsewhere. And with schools, it's like a little tougher. Like you're gonna just, every time a school doesn't like meet a standard in the middle of the year, we're just going to fire all the teachers and then we're going to close all the schools. Like they're trying to make a system that makes it make sense. But in that system, it is hard because you take these what feel like really high stakes standardized tests. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like not an accurate representation of
I know.
Yeah.
culture. I mean, like so many things go into like those tests.
Well, and I guess like I guess the tests are one thing, but it's like it makes me sad or frustrated or whatever when like schools and teachers end up having to like teach for a test,
Yeah.
like teach so that the kids pass the test instead of just like teaching because they love to teach and they love kids and they want kids to learn and they want the kids to love learning, you know, like that's the part that I think is like sad,
Agreed. But I think we picked curriculum that are fun and not just test taking strategies.
Yeah.
So I do like that. Like the ELA classes are very interesting. The social studies texts are like fun and exciting for kids to read. I think like some kids think they're not math people, but conceptual math that we teach in our curriculum is like has a lot of hands-on manipulative components, has some big concept components, and then we'll have some what's the word I'm looking for? Like arithmetic, like algorithmic components. And so it is a wide swath of like learning. And I think Jessica can agree, the best teachers in our public schools are teachers who love teaching, and the state test is motivating and exciting for them because they're like, I want to do better because it produces results for kids. They give them lives of opportunity and choice. I think teachers who are just in it for a result on a state test are teachers who burn out and don't stay very long because that's not the right reason to be in education. I also think, what do private schools do for that?
Nothing.
We don't have like a good standard metric for private school performance, do we?
No.
They're starting to. They're starting to do I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, God.
It's a different name. The test. Wait, what is it called? Fuck. I'm gonna think of it in like 5 minutes.
now.
Yes. ERBs. Yep.
And that's what we took in New York.
ERB.
Education.
ERB.
No,
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know what
I have
ERB
no idea.
stands for. No clue.
No idea.
And it's
But
just
that's like
at grade level.
Yeah, it's like kind of their
Annual?
version of like a end of year standardized test. LEAP. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So, but they have that just to see like data, but is it going to influence like financial backing?
No, because they don't need financial backing.
But are they
from but they do from the people who are funding them.
From
private
tuition.
private.
Yes.
from the parents, the family?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't
or-
think the ERBs are like, I don't think that's like a published data. Like that's not like you don't like look up a school and be like, oh, what are their ERB scores? Like, I don't think that's like released to the public.
We'll see what happens.
Not yet. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's
but
like
then
used
it's like, how are
internally.
you? Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But also, are they going to then kick kids out who don't perform on the
Oh, well, they're
ERB?
already doing that,
That-
sweetie pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're already doing
Yeah.
that, and it's not even
I
academic.
think it's used for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, state test data we use, like we start after school tutoring, and that's for the students who are close to performing at the basic level on their standardized tests or not quite there yet. And we say, you need a little more help. Maybe you're not 5 years behind, or maybe not even 2 years behind, but you just need a little more practice.
Yeah.
So why don't we do some math fluency practice after school, which is a little bit more the old way of doing it, just so you can get some computational confidence.
Right.
And then some ELA tutoring where you get to do more at-bats of reading, answering questions, annotating a text. So like there are good ways to use data to help you with state tests, like get the information from the state test to help provide resource for kids. I hope most charter schools are doing that. I don't know that they are though.
Yeah.
You know?
What do you think the biggest barrier is to learning
That's exactly what I was about to ask.
in your school?
Yeah.
Specifically.
Or barriers.
Yep.
Make it plural.
There's like a huge issue that I've been feeling around stamina from staff, from students, from families. And this idea that like, you got to keep coming back every day and you got to keep learning all day, every day. And even when you're tired, you teach. Even when you're tired, you learn. Even when you're tired, you send your kid to school. And I think there's this easy way of just like opting out that is really hard. And especially for like, I'm competitive, I'm goal oriented. I want all these things to happen. And I'm like,
It's confusing to you. Why?
you learned Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You're having a great week. And then like Friday, you just like give up. And it's like, get a little more stamina to be able to do it, right? Like you're motivated. You're excited. I see it. But then you're just, I can't do it. I'm over.
Is that,
But is that okay? But is
post-COVID
that
thing that you're seeing?
Is that what?
Is that like post-COVID?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Because everyone got used to like
not having
not
work.
going to school every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Or not
going
going to
for a
work
short
every day.
day. And so
Yeah.
by 3:30, by like 2:30, learning's tough. For
Yeah.
everyone in the building.
Yeah.
Teaching's tough. People are really tired.
When previously that was like never an option. Like it was never an option to just like not go to school every day or not go to work every day for for most people, you know,
Yeah.
pre-COVID. And then all of a sudden it was the norm
Yeah.
to not go anywhere.
And then I think on a similar note, there's like this little idea of like follow through that makes it really hard where it's like you can make a million plans, but if you don't follow through on the plans, it never translates into actions, results, that sort of thing. So I think that prevents some of it.
I mean, I'm thinking
Like
of
a
another
teaching
one.
plan, you're saying? A teacher
Like
plan?
lesson plans.
Yeah,
a lesson
lesson
plan.
plans.
That's the word I was looking
Follow
for.
like you have lesson like hopefully not always. A teacher would have prepared their whatever lesson plans for the week, right? Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
And let's say Monday, and correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say on Monday, half the class is out, and so then it's like, how do you close that gap? And the kids, whatever. And so then
Yeah.
it can get all like fucked. And then like some teachers are like, well, now
Yeah.
I'm like 8 lessons behind because I had to play catch up. And oh my God, the lead's coming up. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
A lot of teachers are like, it's death by 1,000 needles
Yeah.
right now. So it's like, you got to do lesson plans.
Yeah.
You got to do grading. You got to log the behaviors. You
Yep.
got to call the parents after
Yep.
the behaviors.
Yep.
You have to go to this meeting. You have to do
Yep.
that. And while it is a lot of things, like, I don't know, are lawyers complaining the same way about
Yeah.
doing their
they are,
job?
but they're just
And
doing a bunch of coke.
doctors.
And doctors, but they're just doing it.
Yes.
And is it about the social regard of like public figures?
But
And
they have money.
it's about money.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
if I
That
think,
teachers are not being fairly
understaffed.
compensated for all of that work.
or supported. I mean,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
What does fairly compensated mean? Like, I don't know what it means, right? Like, I don't know. What's the magic
Yeah.
number?
Yeah.
Kamala, what's our like universal base wage?
I have over there. Okay. Well, you haven't said, I mean, are there any other barriers before I just say it?
Behavior, is that what
Yeah.
you're trying to say? Yeah. I think behavior can be a barrier. And
A
some
behavior, or is it a lack of classroom management on the teachers?
Or both.
Duh,
both. Yeah, both. I think lack of classroom management makes it really hard, and it encourages students to keep testing the boundaries and
Yeah.
finding
Yeah.
new behaviors
Yeah.
that might make that teacher mad or lose their cool.
So
Or boundaries. I mean, I think this is what I saw a lot of, which would be disruptive. Is like when expectations shift, like
Yeah.
really frequently, and boundaries
Yeah.
shift really frequently. Like, oh, I don't know, it's raining, so we're doing like recess. I don't know, whatever. And the kids are like kikiing with their teacher, and it's like funny, and they're joking, and they're like laughing and snuggling, whatever. And now it's math, and now the expectation is,
yeah.
you need to sit down.
I'm
You
the
don't talk
adult,
to me
you're
like
the
that.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you do that, I mean, it just depending on the age, confuses the kid about what are the expectations, or B, shows the kid that, oh, well, now I can like fuck
It actually
around.
doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right. There are no boundaries.
I mean, I think that's stamina. You have to have stamina in your boundaries in a classroom.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you saw me teach one year when I went from teaching my happy middle schoolers who understood
Wow, yeah.
high expectations and my pace of just
Great.
got to do work, got to do work.
Mhm.
Like I just was through it. And then I taught 4th grade for a year and everyone was like, all you do is yell at me. And I had like a teaching fellow in my room and she was like, I don't know how to say this, but he does not raise his voice, but he just doesn't let kids off the hook. And
Yeah.
it was like, I was frustrated because I was like, of course you're not allowed to stand up in the middle of class, sit down. Like that's a consequence, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But then they would like 4th graders are just so little compared to 7th graders. And they're like, he's so mean. And I was like,
Yeah.
am I mean or am I just consistent in my boundaries?
yeah.
Okay. And
And
this
assertive.
is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assertive.
Well, but
I'm from New
it's-
York. We've already
correct.
established that.
Like, yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And like it's same. It's like you don't. It's the oh shit. What is it called? Pressure. The pressure. Of your speech.
That's a great way to say it.
Yeah. Like you can say sit down.
Yeah.
Or you can say sit down.
Yeah.
And I'm not loud. But
Yeah.
who you listening to? Who's getting your attention?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
You don't have to go loud, but it's
It's
the
scary,
pressure
Jessica.
of your.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks my
She
kids
was
are
scary.
scared. But anyway, so yeah, I think, and then I mean, I'm so glad you used that example. Of course, you can't stand up in class.
Yeah.
Why?
Because my boundary is no standing in class. And so
Why?
my team has chosen that that's our boundary for for that time. So if that's the rule, that's all I mean by that.
No, I know.
Of course, you take the notes when I ask you to write. That's just an example.
No, I know. But like when you say stand up, do you mean purely just standing up? Like I need to stretch?
No.
So define standing up.
Like getting out of your seat to just like go walk around the room.
Okay, so walking around the room is different than standing up.
Yeah.
Like,
Sorry.
Like I'm thinking of like, what if a kid just like stood up and wanted to like stand at his desk and take notes or whatever? Like
I would just have them ask first because
yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, example, let's say I didn't ask first and I stood up. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like second, third week of school.
Yeah.
How would you address it?
I'd give that student a consequence.
On the second or third week?
Yeah, you're getting consequences.
You gotta like
first week.
Set the expectation.
No, I know, but like, okay, I'm new to the school.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand up. I'm literally like, my pen hasn't left the paper. I'm just standing up and taking notes. I'm silent.
Yeah.
I'm tracking. I'm participating.
Yeah.
You would give me a consequence, or would you say, "Oh, Jessica, see, like sit, raise your hand, or whatever."
I guess my question is like, what's the message I send to the rest of the class if I don't give you a consequence in that moment, and then the next student stands up?
Yeah.
What's the consequence?
And then the next student, just a deduction that goes on your behavior slip. It's not a huge consequence. You're not getting sent out of the room.
No, I mean, I know.
I'm not raising my voice at you. I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying.
That's two.
That's
what it is.
It's like, Jessica,
that's two.
Jessica, deduction, sit down. And then I might come over later and be like, yo, we standing up?
Yeah, I know. Okay. I mean, it's all so complicated.
Yeah.
Wait, can we go back for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so lack of classroom management or like effective classroom management.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you seeing that increase? Like, is that teacher burnout? Is that
a little bit of
lack
teacher
of stamina?
burnout?
Like, what's happening there? Why does that change?
I'm gonna answer. Sorry,
I want to hear his answer.
He'll answer in a minute. It's a lack of, and this is a problem. There is a lack of education around psychology and behaviors.
Right. For teachers.
And for staff, whole staff.
Yeah.
Anybody whose body is in front of a child needs to understand all of the functions of behavior.
Yeah.
They need to understand and be able to like incorporate it, like different, like I guess more like trends and exceptionalities, like your ADHD or autism or whatever.
Yep.
And like the ins and outs of frustration tolerance and triggers and like whatever.
Yeah.
And being able to like critically think quickly in the moment.
Yeah.
Like there's just a lack of education. They don't know.
But there you go again. Now a teacher has to know all of that stuff too and be able to do it in class.
Well,
But
why
it's
is
just a
that?
professional development. I mean, I think like.
But why has that? Is that something that used to be in teacher education and now is not?
No.
Like, why is that different now compared to 20 years ago?
I don't know.
I don't know if it is different.
Are you sure? Why
In public?
you think that classroom
Sorry?
management is the same now as it was 20 years ago? Or 30
Well,
years ago?
I gotta across all school settings or
I don't know, but this is what we're talking about. Like the increase in behaviors and diagnoses is because kids are getting worse or because of wait, no, you have said
for
classroom
charters?
No, in general in education in the United States. I'm not talking about charters versus
I said
private
charter.
versus blah, blah, blah.
I've been like I'm not saying that every teacher in a charter school is good at it.
No.
But I said it earlier.
But we got a plan for how to help you, teach you how to do it.
Yeah, the expectations are consistent across.
Yeah.
There is like at this school in particular, calling out $2 or whatever.
Well, so I think it's really about teacher will or teacher skill. And your job,
Yep.
every teacher in my network has a coach, and that coach works with that teacher to figure out, is it a
Will
do we need
versus
to
skill.
build your
Right.
will? Do we need to build your skill?
Right.
And if we coach you and we try to build your skill and you get it, great. And if we coach you and we realize it's not skill, it's will, that's probably where we might have a different conversation where we say like, you actually don't believe all kids can do it. You actually don't believe in giving consequences because you think it's unfair to give a third grader a deduction, which is a made up consequence as a part of a system to say, this is how we hold you accountable, whatever it is.
It's like a
And
warning.
so we're going to work really hard to figure out where you fall in that will skill matrix and try to push you, because something that I believe my network does well is create good classroom managers out of people who maybe rely too much on personality or raising their voice or too many like mean sit downs that then you start losing your power. And so you have to be able to give clear expectations. You have to be able to use some positive momentum builders, and you have to hold kids accountable.
But I guess what I'm asking is like, are you seeing a change in time of will, skill?
No,
Is that,
I think
okay, that's
teachers
stayed
have
the
always
same.
come in
Yep.
with a mixed bag of will and skill.
Yep.
From my
Yep.
first day at the network I work at now to today, there are some people who they get their first coaching meeting and they're like, oh, you meant it, that I have to tell kids what to do and hold them to it. And they say, I'm out. And then there are people who come in and they're like, I've been teaching for 3 years and I've waited for a system where I could easily get kids to do work faster and have less work to gain authority as the teacher in the classroom. And they're like, these kids are rolling. This is great. Pencils are moving.
Yeah. I think some people come into teaching with like this glorified or like, it's like the white picket fence image, and then it's not, because this is
Idealistic.
earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's will, it's skill, and then it's following with fidelity.
Yeah.
That's the biggest.
Consistency.
Yes. Like I always saw a lot of like, this person made a noise, that kid called out, but then that kid gets a deduction for it.
Yeah.
And that's such a huge problem.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. It's like, I don't even know if it's like intentional. Like if the teacher's doing, like they're not intentionally like picking and choosing who they're whatever, but it's like, we're not paying attention or something.
Well, good coaches and good mental health professionals in buildings, like interrogate those biases for teachers and help them uncover, like, is it that you genuinely don't care about noise and you care about not working?
Yes.
Or
Right.
is it
Or
that
is it
you
the kid?
have like an unintended thing where like you think this one kid is bad and but you got to be able to work through it? Or is it like you think you're scared of boys because you're white and you work with black and brown boys and you're all freaked out and someone has to coach you through and say like, they're in 3rd grade. Like you
are in charge.
You're safe. You have all these people on this campus who keep you safe. You're in charge. But you've had that experience where that happens. I don't know.
I always felt really not, like I would hit a wall or whatever. I know, but we're going for a few more minutes. Now I just lost my train of thought. Thanks.
You always felt you'd hit a wall with teachers about their willingness to interrogate biases, respond to coaching.
See, fucking A. Like, yes. So I would go in, see the issue. Yes. Okay. Got it. Okay. It was a, inclusion room, whatever. Or no, it wasn't. It was a resource. So like 8 kids to a para and a teacher and, behaviors in the room, learning differences, all of that stuff. And like one of the kids, elope, leave the room or whatever. But the teacher or para would would try to block the kid from there. And what happened, the kid kicked him or hit him or whatever. Yeah. And I would say, so you should move your body because you're not in the business of you're not CPI trained, which is restraining, which I don't agree with anyways. But you're asking for it. If you're, let him elope. This is data. We need that data. If you're blocking him, then we're kind of getting data about the wrong behavior. Yeah. If he's being physically aggressive towards you, that behavior isn't the most accurate representation.
Right.
You know what I mean? If he's in fight or flight, what?
What did you say before? Fidelity and critical thinking skills?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
I think judgment is the other third thing to add there.
Oh, judgment. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not following.
Yeah.
No. But it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's
but it's.
I don't know. You want the kid suspended when they kicked you when you stood in the way. Don't stand
get out of the way.
Yeah, don't stand
We'll
in
do
the
it the
way.
first time, but then stop standing in the way because no kid can kick you. But now we know that that's what they're going to do. So don't stand in the way.
Right.
Leave.
Right.
And it's the complaining and not willing to work to change it.
Not willing to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't get through a lesson plan because these kids are walking around and da-da-da-da-da. They just come in from outside play and just barrel in the room. Okay. And this was this real example. And I was like, okay. So out of the gate, they're coming into the room on 10. So they are not showing that they're able to handle transitioning from a hallway into the classroom to learn. So then we got to break it down. That means one kid at a time. Yeah. And then you're narrating exactly what you want them to do. All of their shit's at their desk already. Right. There's no getting this, getting that. So that means maybe a little bit more planning and preparing on your end. Not hard. None of this is hard. And it's that way until those kids are responsible enough to just all come in the class but was that planned fault? Nope. And so then it's like, well, fuck off. I'm not working here. But not really. But
I mean, I believe all children can meet expectations.
Yes,
it's
they
about
can.
your ability to be clear with your expectations and hold them accountable to it. And like that, I don't know if that's
And
just.
But like, why is that not like?
I don't have.
Why is that such an issue? That's always been an issue.
Because not everybody has the same level of like.
But then it needs to be like screened or like taught in a way.
But don't people have that problem with adults?
What do you mean?
Like people have the lack of patience with adults.
Yes.
And they're not able to do it.
Yes.
Like that, I don't know where to.
Yeah, but you're not like teaching. What do you mean?
People who manage adults have the same issue. You think that like.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a bunch of doctors who are so impatient with patients, adult patients.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
it's different.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, but like you're not getting.
But we also need to wrap up, Jessica.
We're fine. Okay, fine. But
I'm sorry.
I mean,
we could go on and on.
I know.
Do you want to come back?
She's like,
Charlie,
open the wine.
You want to come back, Charlie?
Okay, whatever.
I can come back.
You're cutting me off. All right. Bye. I don't know. Bye.
What's bugging the shit out of you today?
Yeah.
I'm trying to act like there's like why can't I like answer this? Ask this.
Go ahead.
question?
Go. Ask the question.
Okay. Why is there such a discrepancy between like caliber of teachers? Like, why can some teachers be badass and then some aren't, or whatever, or they're not teachable, or they're not trainable, or they aren't receptive to feedback because feedback means it's a criticism. It's like, how do you vet that? Or are you even able to, because we don't have enough bodies in the class or in the building?
I mean, when we hire teachers, have them teach a sample lesson, we give them coaching to see how they respond to coaching, and they teach the lesson again. And that is like our best attempt at being able to say that you are receptive to feedback about something that will make your teaching better. Yep, and implement it. So you're willing to hear it and give it a try. It's not going to be perfect. It's like all within the span of 4 hours during a day. But then I think some rich education research firm should study that about like what are the qualities of teachers. It's going to be something, you said grit. It's going to be something about critical thinking skills, and it's going to be something about
quick
consistency.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to be that quick if you're that prepared or thoughtful or something about it. And so there's a way that it's like, if not one, another. And I think
overcompensate with the other thing.
Yeah. Like from a demographic perspective and thinking about myself as an effective teacher and other effective teachers I've worked with, we're vastly different.
Yeah.
Different
correct.
Educational background, different interests, different style to this point earlier about like, I'm going to teach the same lesson differently than another teacher, but we're going to get the same results. I think a lot of it is like a willingness to believe that all kids can do it is where it has to start.
Yeah.
But then a willingness to push them to get there. But I don't know what word that is. Pressure. It's just like the lack of fear to keep applying pressure, even when every signal you get back is stop. And you're just going to say, nope, a little harder, a little harder, a little harder.
So that is called
perseverance.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
No, I mean, the can't thing is like, that's a bit, we've talked a lot about this real quick. Like if you tell a kid they can't, then they can't.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the language you're using, then it's anyways.
Your own kid or a kid at school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what that word is, but fine. We'll wrap it up.
How fun is it for a middle school girl to say, well, you told me I can't do it.
Yeah.
And then you're like asking them to do it. And they're like, gotcha. And you're
like, fuck. All right. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hopefully you know you're not alone and we're all in the trenches together.
We're always here, so reach out and let us know what's driving you nuts. We got you. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Little Brain Campaign on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Questions or topics you want us to tackle? Hit us up on all of our socials at the Little Brain Campaign. Keep trucking. You got this. We'll see you next week.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. Remember, no one size fits all. Always consult a professional for personalized advice.